directly assign a function into a variable, okay, or anonymous function. Okay, so this is a function expression. So we can directly assign a function into a variable, okay, or anonymous function, a function which doesn't have any name. Okay, this is one kind of function. So next we have discussed about arrow function, right? So const arrow is equal to, so again it's also a variable. So it's a special syntax, guys. It doesn't have any function keyword as well as function name as well as guys. We have a special syntax. By seeing the syntax only, the language understands arrow function. The syntax is like, so parenthesis followed by arrow. Okay, so this is called arrow function. So if you want to pass parameter, you can pass parameter. But what is the specialty of arrow function is like, so if you have a single return keyword, okay, see, return keyword only, so it doesn't contain any other lines code, okay, only one return keyword. So we can exclude these things, return keyword as well as curly braces, so you can make it more simple. So this also works, okay. So this is the use of, so return keyword. So if you have a single line of code that to return keyword, you don't need to specify, you can the language directly understood. So it's a return keyword, it directly returns the result to the variable, okay, where I am calling this arrow function. Okay, so this is the thing. And next, function with default parameters. So I have a function, so I'm using 3 parameters, but I am passing only 2 arguments. The arguments should be equal, but I am passing less than the parameters. So the last one will always takes undefined to overcome. So we're gonna assign a default parameters. Okay, so if you pass it, so it's gonna, it is going to replace that value, okay, the default value. If it is not there, not passing, we will take the default value. So these are the things we have discussed. So today we are going to discuss about DOM. Okay, first thing, what is DOM? Any idea? What is DOM?
Document object model, which is pictorial representation of HTML.
Picture representation of HTML?
HTML elements.
HTML elements. Okay. See, whenever I execute this .html file, so on browser understands only .html file. Okay. Apart from that, browser doesn't understand JS file also, JS file alone, and as well as any CSS files also. So browser understands only .html. So that's the reason I am going to serve this file only. So JS file I am going to import here. Okay. So whenever the browser sees this file, okay, it is going to scan from top to the bottom. Okay, it's going to scan a top to a bottom. So once it scans, so it checks all the elements, so HTML elements, div, h1, h2, h3, what the things you're going to return in it. So it's going to scan all the elements and it's going to render those elements by pixel in the screen. Okay, it's pixel perfect. But when it encounters script tag, okay, when it encounters script tag, it cannot be renderable. Okay, it can be renderable. So it's going to execute this file. Okay, it's going to execute this file. So where is it's going to execute? The browser contains JavaScript engine. Okay, so guys, JavaScript engine is nothing but a piece of software. Okay, it's a piece of software, so which will convert your human readable code to machine code and will execute in the computer CPU, and you get the result. Okay, this is the main purpose of JavaScript engine. So, so whenever the browser sees this file and it's going to render pixel by pixel, so it's going to create a tree-like structure basically. Okay, it's going to create a tree-like structure. So that tree is called DOM. Okay, we call DOM tree or document object model. Okay, each element, see, observe, each element, what are the things we are written in here? Each element, okay, is an object representation. Okay, object or representation. Every element is an object or representation. So that entire model, that object representation of each HTML element, the tree-like structure we called document object model. Okay, so I'm gonna write that one. What does it looks like? See, we have a some DOM elements, okay, HTML elements, okay, H1 unordered list, okay. So I'm gonna write a DOM tree for this one. So what is the topmost entry point of this document? Topmost entry point. Document is the topmost entry point. So inside the
Like
document, come again,
HTML
come again.
the language, HTML language.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. This is not the topmost.
Type
So
HTML.
come again.
Doc type HTML.
No, doc type is not an HTML, guys. So this is just a declaration. You already heard about this. It's a declaration. Means this document is been written in HTML5 version. Okay, it's a version specification. That's it. It's nothing to do with any of this coding. Okay, even if you're not returning, so by default you take HTML5. Okay, so if you have an older version HTML4, there some declaration has to be done. Okay, you have to do explicitly. Okay, so nothing to do with these things. So this is not the entry point of your application. So the main entry point is the document. Okay, see again it's an object. Everything is an object in JavaScript or in entire web development. This is everything is an object. Okay, the document. So again, the document, we have one more entry point before document, we call it window. The window is means entire tab using, right, the browser. The browser entire tab. Okay, so this is called window. We have called as a global also. Okay, so but technically, so the main entry point is the document for this one. Okay, I'm gonna write the DOM tree. So document is the main entry point. So under the document, what are the things we have? HTML. Okay, so under the document we have HTML. So under the HTML, so we have two tags. What are those? Head and body, right? See, just see this observe. Yeah. See, under HTML, so this is the complete HTML tag. Okay. So inside the HTML we have head and body. So these are the children for this HTML tag. Okay. So head and body. Head. Okay, under the head we have a 3 meta tags, right? See, okay, 3 meta tags. Under the body, so what are the things? We have H1 and as well as unordered list, right? See, H1 and unordered list. Okay, under unordered list we have 3 list items. H1 unordered list. Under this unordered list we have 3 LIs. Okay, see, it's a tree like structure. If you are creating a complex HTML, of course everything is going to be arranged like this. Okay, so each HTML tag is an object representation. We have methods inside this one. We can directly access it. Okay, each representation is an object. Each element is an object representation. This entire model we call document object model. Okay, so we call DOM or document object model. Okay, so this how your DOM tree is going to work. Okay, so what is the use of these things? So we can easily traverse it and we can easily select the elements. Okay guys, see whatever the thing you're till the time, okay, everything is going to print it in the console, right? So but user doesn't understand the console, user needs the result inside the DOM. Okay guys, so and also you know about React, Angulars, everything, right? So every framework is fighting for the performance issue increment, right? So the performance should be increment in the in this part. Okay, here the your performance should be increased. So how much your DOM renders strictly, the website is that much of high perform. Okay, so that's the reason we're using a lot of things called virtual DOM. In React they're using virtual DOM. In Angular they're using incremental DOM. Every day they keep on trying to improvise this thing. Okay, so this is the main important thing. So this is the thing only render inside your browser. Okay, so if you make this work quickly, then your web application will be more faster. Okay, so this is called DOM. So adding element, removing element. So I'm trying to adding element to the DOM and removing element to the DOM. So whenever you add element to the DOM, only you can able to see in the browser. Okay, so you know about CSS properties called visibility, hidden. Okay, there's basically adding or removing here that element. And again, so each element will allocate a memory. So if you reduce that memory also, you're going to in turn increase the performance. Reducing memory management is also like basically we need to maintain a memory management. Each element will take the own memory. So that's the reason in Angular we were using some Angular default elements which will not be directly added. So whenever the condition requires, whenever the browser, whenever the application requires that element on the term on demand only, we are going to loading it. Understood? So there are a lot of performance improvement techniques here. Okay, but basically this is the main core idea. So this is how the DOM is going to arrange. Okay, let's see how do you gonna do selections. Yes, we haven't DOM, right? We need to select these elements. So while studying HTML CSS, so you know about CSS selectors, right? What are the CSS selectors we are learning?
Yes.
Basically the first thing is ID, right? ID and class. Yeah. So ID and class. So they did explain one topic called ID should not be duplicated, right? Why? Why ID should not be duplicated? What will happen if I duplicate the ID? I'll use console log today. Not use this. Why ID should not be duplicated?
ID is for unique element.
Yeah, why? Why do we make it unique?
So,
Is there any practical usage? What if I use the same ID? See, I am adding an ID main title for this H1 element, right? Did I use the same ID for another element? Come again?
While we are using Master,
Uh-huh.
same ID with the different functions will be applicable to different workflows.
Okay, while using JavaScript, so what feature?
If we are using which file, H1 we are using ID
Mm-hmm.
main ID.
Mm-hmm.
So that part of function will be applicable to another function if we use another duplication.
Okay, fine. Let's see this thing. So first I'm gonna selecting element. So guys, so today we're going to discuss about selecting an element. So we have an HTML elements. So you using JavaScript, how do you gonna select the element? So same thing what we have discussed in CSS. First select the element, then apply the CSS tags. Right? Again, it is also select the first element. First, how do you gonna select using our JavaScript? Okay, how do you gonna select it? I'm gonna select the first one, H1. So first thing, document. See, whenever I type the document, when I hover on it, okay, so you'll see the entire document mark. See, so this is the entire document. That is the topmost entry point of your web application. Okay, the website topmost entry point is the website. Document dot. See, dot notation is more. So inside the document object, we are accessing something, right? So dot notation, bracket notation. This is the reason why we are using, right? So that's the reason. Everything is an object. Okay, document dot. See, get. I'm trying to selecting get element camel case element. Make a note of it. It's a singular. It's a singular means it can only select the first occurrence in the DOM tree. DOM tree, you know, I've written the DOM tree, right? In the first occurrence, so what is the element I'm looking? So what is the ID I'm passing here? It will select that element only. See, document dot get element by ID. Okay, so it's a method in the sense, guys, any function. See, don't you think it's a function? I'm calling a function, right? It's a calling a function. Forget about this one, remove this one in your mind. So element by ID, I'm calling with the parenthesis, means function, addition function, right? Function is what? Any function inside an object we call method. Okay, I told you in the beginning, arrays and object can store any type of element. Okay, so if I store a function inside an object, we call it a method. Okay, so I am calling a method. It's a predefined method. It's created by the JavaScript creators. I'm just using it. So again, we need to pass arguments. What is the argument here? So what is the element I'm looking for? What is the element? ID of the element. Main title. Okay. So don't use the rotations like ID notations. We are using hash or pound symbol, right? So don't use it directly, right? Because it's a specific method. Okay. So main hyphen title. We'll select the H1. Okay. So it selects the ID. It selects the element having ID main title. Okay, so this is one way. So just think, observe, I am going to add a paragraph. The paragraph also contains the same ID. Now if I use document on get element by ID, now tell me which one it will going to select, the first H1 or the paragraph. First occurrence in the DOM tree. So this is the only element which will having the ID main title in the DOM tree. So this is the second element. Okay, so that's the reason always selects H1, not paragraph. Okay, even if you put in duplicate IDs, this is the issue. So that's the reason ID should be unique. Why? So even if you are having a even the multiple the HTML elements having the multiple HTML elements having the same ID, so you can't able to select it. Okay, it's always select the first occurrence in the DOM tree. So this is the H1 is the only first occurrence. Okay, see, you will see the marker, the over on this one. Understood? So that's the reason. So this is one of the DOM selection. There are 5 selection way. Okay, I will tell you all the 5 selection. Okay, so I have selected an element having ID. Next, so have a class list item. Yes, class can be duplicated. So same class I can use it on a multiple elements. Document elements by class name. See, elements. The name itself is plural, means I can select a multiple elements. Okay, now tell me. So I have a multiple values. I want to store in single variable. What is the best way? Arrays. Okay, arrays. Again, it will return an HTML collection. So this hyphen item is the class name, right? See, it will return an array-like structure called HTML collection. Guys, it's like an array-like structure, not exactly array. So it doesn't have any push pop methods. It have a length property. I can iterate also using for loop. I can iterate over this HTML collection. It have a length property and index based on index. See, the first one is the having the class list item, and the second one is also having the class list item. These are the two elements having the list items. Okay, so using this get elements by class, the name itself says elements, so I can select multiple elements. So even if it selected multiple elements, so it will select like an HTML collection, like it's an array-like structure. I can select any element by its index. So I want to select only the first one. Now tell me, how do you going to do this? I want to select only the first one. Item 2 is the first one, right? Item 2 is the element having list item. I want to select only one. How to select a first element of an array? By index number, right?
By index number.
Document dot get elements by class name. List item of 0. Selects the first element. Right? Selects the first element. Second element of 1. Understood? So this is how we are going to select. Okay. So we have discussed two methods, right? Get element by ID and get elements by class. Next we have one more method called get elements by tag name.
Sir, in class name we select multiple values, sir.
Yes, we have selected all the class, all the elements having the class list item here. The entire document.
Sir, what's the difference between ID and this class? What's
ID, how many elements you can select?
one element?
Class, how many elements you can select?
Multiple.
Yes, that's the difference. Okay, so if you use ID, you can only select only one element. So class, so you can do multiple elements. If you want to apply some CSS styles or designs or thing, so for multiple elements, use class. Make a differentiate. So based on your requirement, you have to do this operation. Okay. Any doubts? Get elements by class name. Get elements by ID. Right. Next, get elements by tag name. Document dot get elements by tag name. Okay, so exactly the same CSS selectors. Using ID also we can select. Using classes you can tag also select it, right? Tag selectors. Okay, H1 means it will select all the H1s inside the document. Likely it is tags. So here get elements by tag name. So here you need to pass the tag. Which one? Li. Right? So it will select all the elements of LIs. Understood? See, we have 3 list items. So it will select all the list items. Again, it returns an HTML collection. Okay, it returns an HTML collection. We can iterate again using array methods, array for loops, or for each. We also one of the called for each also. So we can use one of the array method. So it does works. So you can see some array methods will work on these things. Okay, so but you can't work with push pop, all these things. Okay, it doesn't work. And you can select any element you want. Okay, so this is the third way of selection.
So when you are working with dynamic value, in that
Mhm.
situation you can use pop or push.
you can't the pop and push doesn't works on this HTML collections. No, yeah, because inside the prototype, see, we can't able to see any of these methods. Okay, so only these are the methods available, but we can't able to make it. Next, the second one is, the last two is called query selector. Query selector is nothing but it's a generic selector. Using this selection way, you can select ID based elements, class based elements, or tag based elements, or any CSS selectors, descendant selectors, direct child selection, sibling selections. You all see a lot of all the CSS methods, CSS selectors way, right? Around 10 or 12 ways you can select the element CSS. Everything is working inside this query selector. Okay, so observe what is that? Document dot query selector.
It's a part of the ES6.
No, it's not at all part of AS6. I'm not done with AS6. Okay, it's still not yet started. Why are you so worried about ES6? Wait, I'll take ES6. Okay, so query selector. See guys, while doing a query selector, you can select any element of having an ID. So using a get element by ID, so we don't need to tell ID. So like hash symbol or like this. So we can directly use main title, the ID name. But here does not that's not sufficient. You need to, since it's a generic selector, you need to tell exactly what is this ID. So how do you gonna represent ID? Name hyphen title. It will select an element having ID. See, query selector only, it will select only one element, not all elements. Okay, it's only set only one element, not all the elements. Again, it's a single element selector, just like an get element by ID. Okay, main title. Again, see, observe document dot. So I will select the list item having a class, right? So query selector. How do you gonna represent class? Right? Dot list hyphen item. Again, it will always set the first occurrence. Say I have a multiple LIs, right, having the same class. So item 2 is the only first occurrence, right? You select that item. Okay. Second, since it's a single selector, it's always select the first occurrence in the DOM. Anyhow, it's selecting only one element, right? So using the query selector, you can't able to. It always selects the. So in that case, so you need to make it the element unique. Some add some ID or additional class for it.
Different class name you can.
Yeah, you can use a different class name and you can get it also. You can, you know this one. I to order multiple class for HTML element by providing spaces, right, in the class attribute. Same, make it unique on that time. Okay. So this is a fourth way of selection. And last way of selection is called query selector all. So list. So it's a class, right? Dot list hyphen item. It will select all the list. Okay. All the list items having class list items. All the LIs having class list items. So here you can directly do the selections by passing the index. Okay, by passing index you can select the first or second. So if you want to select all the LIs, that directly pass the tag.